Okay, we are in the final stretch, last page, numbers 10, 11, and 12. Number 10, the table shows the distance Pedro jogged each day last week. What was the total distance that Pedro jogged last week? So we're looking at a table that shows the distance he jogged each day last week. We're looking for the total distance that he jogged last week. So here is our table. Here's our distance jogged, our day, and the distance. And we've got Monday through Sunday. Then notice they've got some decimals, some are fractions, and I want to move them all to either fractions or decimals. I'm choosing to do decimals. I think they're a little easier. So Monday's already done. Tuesday we need to convert 1 3/4. 3/4 is one of your benchmarks. You should know easily that that is 75 hundredths. 2 1/2 needs to be converted. That is also one of your benchmarks. You should know it's 2 5 tenths. Thursday's done, Friday's done, Saturday's done, Sunday was the same as Tuesday. 3/4 is a benchmark. You should easily know that that is 1 75 hundredths. So what would our equation look like? Well, if we're going to find the total distance, we know that's an addition problem. So we're going to have to add all these numbers up. I have 2 3/10, 1 75 hundredths, 2 5 tenths, 2, 1 8 tenths, 2 6 tenths, 1 75 hundredths. Estimation. I'm going to look at these numbers and think 2 3 tenths. Well, 3 is shaded out of a possible 10, which means it's closer to 2. 1 75 hundredths, which was 1 3/4. 3 are shaded out of 4. That's going to get me closer to 2. 2 1/2. 1/2 is directly in the middle. Remember, that means we're going to up the score, so that's going to move to a 3. Thursday is already at a 2. Friday, 1 8 tenths. 8 shaded out of 10 gets me closer to 2. 2 6 tenths. 6 is shaded out of 10. That's going to get me closer to 3. And 1 75 hundredths, again, is 1 3/4. 3 out of 4 shaded gets me closer to 2. If I add all that up, my answer is going to be around 16. Not exact, but around there somewhere. Okay, so now we need to add all of these up. Remember, with decimals, we line up our decimals like buttons on a shirt. 2 5 tenths. Now 2 is a whole number, so you have to think, where would the decimal be? Because there is no decimal. Well, remember, we talked today about a whole number. The decimal comes after, because if we put it before, we just made $2.20, and we don't want to do that. There's a big difference between the two. 1 8 tenths, 2 6 tenths, 1 75 hundredths, and remember, we are adding because we're trying to find the total. Second rule with division: make them look the same. Add zeros so that they look the same. That way, it's just easier to keep track of where we're going. So I'm going to add them up. 0 5 0 0 5 is 10. 1 4 11 16 22 30 37. Carry my 3. 3 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14. Do not forget your decimal. So my answer, how total distance, was 14 70 hundredths miles. So not quite 15, but close. Okay, number 11. Mario purchased 3 CDs for $12.99 each and 2 DVDs for $18.75 each. How much did he spend before tax? So we've got 3 CDs, $12.99 each, 2 DVDs, $18.75 each. How much did he spend? We're missing the ND, spend, before tax. Well, here's my equation. I'm getting 3 CDs, and they're going to be $12.99 a piece. I'm going to add that to my 2 DVDs that are $18.75 a piece. Estimation. Well, my 3 is already there. $12.99 is only a penny to 13, so I'm going to round that up to 13. Plus 2 times 1875. Well, 1875 is closer to 19 than it is to 18. So 3 times 13 is 39. 2 times 19 is 38. If I add those, if that's supposed to be a plus sign, add those, I'm getting 77. So my answer should be around the 77 mark somewhere. Okay, let's take our numbers, our actual numbers, and multiply them. 1299 times 3. Remember, when we're multiplying decimals, we break the rule about lining up decimals. So I'm just going to multiply 27, 29, 8, 3, and do not forget that decimal. Then we're going to go to 1875, multiply it by 2. Again, we're breaking the rule. Do not line up the decimals. 17, 3, and do not forget your decimal. Now let's add them up. For our CDs, our total was $38.97. For our DVDs, our total was $37.50. Add them up. 7, 14, 16. Don't forget your decimal. And my answer, $76.47 for your CDs and DVDs. Okay, last one, number 12. Farmer Brown can harvest 2 1/3 acres of corn in one day. That just means like to cut. How many acres of corn can he harvest in 10 1/2 days? So I've got 2 1/3 in one day. How much can he harvest in 10 1/2 days? Okay, so he can do 2 1/3 in one day. So that means he's going to do another 2 1/3 in the second day. I'm trying to get 10 1/2 days. So that's a multiplication problem. 10 1/2 days times 2 1/3, because that's how many he does in one day. Estimation, 10 1/2. Remember that half is directly in half, so I'm going to move up to the next one, which is closer to 11. 2 1/3, 1 is shaded out of 3. That means it's closer to 2. So my answer should be around 22 days. I'm sorry, acres. We're looking for acres. How many acres? Underline, underline. 22 acres is what I'm thinking. Okay, so how do we actually do this? We're going to set it up. 10 1/2 times 2 1/3. I need the mixed out of there, so I'm going to lasso. Multiply, add. 2 times 10 is 20, plus 1 is 21. Denominator stays the same. Lasso the next one, times, add. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Denominator stays the same, and we are multiplying. I'm going to look to see, can I reduce right away? 2 and 7? No. 3 and 21? Absolutely. 3 goes into 3 once. 21 divided by 3 is 7. Multiply the top times the top, bottom times the bottom. I get 49/2. That is a bobblehead. That is an improper fraction, so I've got to get it out of the improper. Divide. My answer is 24 1/2, or 24 5/10. So my answer is, I can do 24 1/2 acres in 10 1/2 days. Good luck on the test tomorrow.